so we are joined with,
Richard Kirby.
And Don Atkins.
and you guys are,
Don, I'll let you go first since you're royalty.
I'm the Vice President of South Carolina Barbecue Association.
And I am the Midlands District Marshal, which means I'm actually over events throughout the middle part of the state. And today I'm actually also pulling dual roles. I am the event marshal for Ridgeway, and we have David Graham's our assistant marshal today.
so Ridgeway, they, what's the profits and proceeds go to?
The town of Ridgeway, they take a portion of it to help do things within the city limits or town limits of Ridgeway. And also, there's also a charity. Unfortunately, I don't know which charity it is, but a portion of it also does go to a local charity. So all the money does stay right here in Fairfield County, in the town of Ridgeway. They, for the longest time, this has been our biggest event as far as the amount of cook teams. Of course, every time you hear it's COVID. So pre-COVID, we was 70 teams. 2019, I think we were 66, 68 teams. Today, unfortunately, it was a little low, but we had a total of 38 teams, which is still a good bit of teams for the SCBA.
And this event is one that does a backyard group separate from the pro.
That's correct. So not a lot of events have that. So if you're just a backyard cooker and you want to cook, a lot of them are local people that just want to get into the cooking side of it. So this is a good way to do it. It's a free entry fee. Doesn't cost you a dime to come cook. As far as entry fee, it still costs you because you got pits and charcoal and sauces and rubs and jacks.
No, that's right.
So yeah, the guys come in and it doesn't act, but most contests are anywhere from 200 to 350 is an entry fee. And but they provide you with the butts. This year they had to cook 16 butts. So 16 Boston butts, averaging 8 to 10 pounds per butt. They cooked them all through the night, and then they served the public on Saturday. And I've coming to this event a lot. I've cooked this event. I think David, this is our third year marshaling it, third or fourth year marshaling it. So this is a special event. We really like it. It's the way they do things. Friday night, the people turn out at this event more than most events that we go to, and that's a cool thing to see. Friday night, it was elbow to elbow walking through there trying to get. They did anything but. So that's where they do. On Friday night, some contests would do a wing competition. Everybody cooks 40-pound of chicken wings. Here last night, they did anything but. So you could do from a banana pudding, macaroni and cheese. There was a chicken. There was perlo. There was smoked chicken, vegetable soup. So anything that you can wrap your mind around that doesn't have pork in it. So that's the only criteria is it can't have pork in it. So.
Okay.
The thing that's special about Ridgeway is the public comes out. I mean, they were out there at 7:30, 8 o'clock this morning, lined up to buy tickets so they can buy barbecue. The whole town shows up, and they will sell out the barbecue in 30 minutes. Everybody will sell out. You know, they're 16 butts they cook. It's gone in 30 minutes.
So it's a really good fundraiser, and like Don said, that's important. That's what we're having. You know, a lot of contests is getting the people to actually support it. So it's nice to come to one and see them support it so much. So.
And it's fun for the teams and for the judges when we have public participation, because it makes the whole atmosphere so much better.
Yeah, Lee and I, as we were driving up here this morning, we were discussing that, you know, here at Ridgeway, this is the largest event that we've been a part of. Because usually whenever we're competing, it's at most you see, 16, 18 teams. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think at Come See Me in Rock Hill one year there was 20, but knowing there's going to be 30 to 40 teams, we were really excited about getting up here and seeing something that large, and just judging this event today, it went so smooth, and when we were talking about it amongst each other, how was this going to affect the judging? How is it going to stay on the same kind of schedule that, say, a Chester or Gaston or something like that would? But this went through really smooth, even with all of those teams.
Well, thank you. And it's not from this. It's from. It takes a group effort, and sometimes you got to put your foot down and talk to them about it, but, we changed it in 2019. Everybody used to just turn in at one time. And, some tables would get the backyard, some tables would get the pro side. So it was hard to get judges, one, because they're like, I won't come to the table with just backyard. I understand that. You want some pro stuff too. Which, the misconception is backyard is amateur. That don't mean it might not look pretty, but that don't mean it's not good. Some of the best barbecue I had in a long time come off the backyard division today. Like I stole the box. I was walking around, try this, because it was really good. So don't get confused just because it's backyard, it's not going to be good. It might not be as pretty, but it'll still be as good. And so David Graham and I and Mike Sexton, they moved us into this area, which is smaller, so we lost a lot of space where we used to be in the fire station. And two, the judge is complaining about, rightfully so, only getting backyard barbecue. So David Graham, Mike Sexton, and myself said, we got to do something. So we broke it up from 2 turn-ins, ribs and butts, to we do a backyard turn-in, a pro turn-in on butts, and then a rib turn-in. So it takes a lot of work, and well, you set a table, are you full?
Yes.
You had plenty of barbecue, didn't you? So, that's one thing you got to really pay attention to. The small event versus the biggest is when on your mat, don't try to eat everything you got. Eat enough to judge it, and then stop and wait to the next one, because you got a lot of samples. So.
Like you were saying, the backyard stuff that we got was still really, really good.
There's one real pepper thing, like King Street, Georgetown, Hemingway style barbecue. It was really good.
Yeah. So Don, how long have you been with the SCBA?
Since 2010.
Okay. You started out as just a judge?
Well, I was actually watching Barbecue Pit Masters, and they were in Kansas City, and they didn't have enough judges. So I said, all right, we'll be a barbecue judge. So I looked it up, SC Barbecue, and that next weekend we had a seminar. And I went to it, and we had a great time with us.
Been hooked ever since.
Yeah.
I know you were one of the first ones we met when we first started competing.
Yeah.
You come around, start talking to us about our drones, and every time we would set up somewhere, you were always like, "Hey, there's our drones."
And that's another thing that has really kept us interested in this is people like yourself. It's like a family atmosphere. Everybody comes up, checks on you. Hey man, haven't seen you in a while. What you been doing since we last saw? And whenever we first started competing, we were right next to Joe Hillard, and we didn't know what we were doing. We just brought a bunch of stuff from his garage and said, "Let's do this."
Roll out.
And then Joe was saying, "Hey man, if you don't mind, let me give you some hints here." And he took us under his wing, and we learned more in that one competition than we ever thought was necessary to compete.
A lot of the pro teams out here will do that. They'll invite you in. They'll show you a lot of stuff. They're not going to show you everything, but they'll lead you in the right direction. I couldn't tell you how many George Ray and Gene Culberson and Gary Taylor. I mean, all of them. If they know something, they're willing to tell you what they know. You're not going to get all the secret injections and drugs.
Exactly.
Well, Joe being one of our cooks liaisons, being on the board, and so is Gary Taylor and Quentin Denner, are cooks liaisons. But I know when I go talk to somebody about a new event, I always get Joe to come with me, because Joe puts that cook's perspective to it. I can sit there and talk about the administrative part of it, but Joe actually knows the cooker's part of it. And I lean on him a lot for that.
And that's another thing that Lee and I get a lot whenever we're judging, and the people at our table realize that we're also cooks. As soon as we're finished judging, and then whenever it's time to discuss what we had, they got all kinds of, "Hey man, what made them do this?" Or "Why did this flavor come out like this?" Or "How did they get this meat so tender, but yet this person, the meat was so tough," or whatever. And they would ask us, and we were able to tell them that the temperature they were cooking at, the length of time, and the judges really try to increase their knowledge about the whole entire thing.
Some of them couldn't figure out how they got the tubes in such good, straight lines. They're like, "How'd they do that?" I'm like, "Well, it's how you pull it."
Yep.
Yeah.
So
And that's one thing about the judging with the South Carolina Barbecue Association is the training, but going and cooking with teams. You know, I learned so much from that.
Yeah, so you have to cook a total of 3 times to move up in the ranks. One to become a senior, and then 2 more times to be a master. So, and that's all it is just to gain knowledge and see what the cooks actually go through. So.
It does give a different perspective.
Sure does.
Well, you know, the first time you cook to get your senior hat is you're learning from the cook team, and you learn a whole lot. But once you become going up to the master your second and third time, you're actually helping that cook team because you've already judged, you know, at least 20 times in barbecue, and you know a little something that the judges look for.
Yeah.
So you can actually help that team and be an asset for them.
That is one of the big reasons we got into judging, because to increase our scores, and we figured what better way for us to improve our product than to sit with you guys and see what are they looking for. You know, why are we getting this, you know, certain score on aroma and texture, and that has helped us a lot. Our scores have really increased since we started judging.
Yeah, that's the whole reason I got into it. And then I was cooking a lot, and the wife's like, "You need to trim back a little bit. You're spending a lot of money not winning anymore."
Oh, we both get that conversation
So-
all the time.
So we ended up, and I was like, you know what, this particular year, I think it was 16 or 17, I'm gonna go through. And I'm gonna move up the ranks, and moved up the ranks. Started David Graham and I started together and moved up the ranks together, and started marshaling, and then, you know, now the district marshal. So it's been a fun ride. It's enjoyable. Still get to come out and still love to cook, but still get to come out and hang out, you know, with the family. So.
I'm kind of liking this. Sleep in a little bit and then get up and go. Eat barbecue, and go home.
That's
Just
right.
like to clean
It's
up.
not bad, is it?
It's a
When
lot
you-
cheaper too.
And when you move up, you start getting a little bit of gas money to come, you know. So
Well, all right. Thank you, fellas.
yeah, thank you.
Great time. Nice chatting with you. And we're going to go out and see what's going on outside.
Good sized cook.
Yeah. What's going on, buddy? Where you guys from?
Lexington, South Carolina.
Lexington, all right.
Sir, in the house.
You guys have a good cook?
It was decent. I didn't do my best, but I was here, and I think the people still enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
I think it's a win.
Well, good, good. Good luck to you. No Gene. Got all kinds of vendors. All right, so we've got one of our cookers. Are you with the protein or the backyard? Backyard group. So nice little shout out there to the backyard group. And we have
Double J's Smoke Joint.
Double J Smoke Joint. How long have you been doing that?
This is my first competition. Been cooking for probably about 2 or 3 years.
Cool.
Trying to get a catering business going.
Oh, nice,
Yes, sir.
nice. Want to give a little shout out to that, or?
Absolutely. We cater anywhere in South Carolina. Anywhere. There's not a food that we can't cook.
All right. We'll get some information for him. We'll put it down below so y'all can get into that. So, how'd everything go last time?
Amazing. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. A lot of help from other teams.
Good.
Some nice camaraderie out here.
Well, that's what we're gonna move on to the next one. Nice meeting you. All right, so we did the interview, and then we went out and walked around, and we didn't get a lot of the cook team interviews in. A lot of them were closed up or sold out. They were cleaning up,
breaking down, trying to beat the storm that was projected to come in.
So when these guys say that they sell out a barbecue fast in Ridgeway, if you think about how much barbecue they had, you had 38 teams, and each team had 16 Boston butts, 8 to 10 pounders.
That's a lot of meat.
And majority of the teams, when we walked around, were sold out. Well, they say sold out because they ran out of giving it away, or ticket. You got to buy tickets, and you give them a ticket, and you get a sample. So a lot of them were out, and they were inside cleaning up. So
the place was huge. This was the biggest event that you or I have been to yet.
Yep.
And before COVID, they were having between 60 and 70 teams. That's how huge this thing is. Now they said last year they had 47. The year before was COVID. They didn't have it. But the year before COVID came in, they had 63 or 64 teams. I mean, it's just a gigantic undertaking to provide that much meat to that many teams, to get everything synchronized so it can all be cooked and turned in to meet the times for the judge. I mean, it's just this one was really, really eye-opening at how much thought went into this process for something this big.
Yep. Hats off to the group that put that on. The marshals and the event staff, fantastic. Got them in and out. All the barbecue we had was good barbecue.
It was. Didn't have anything bad.
No.
Also, this was the first time that I can think of that you and I had two different categories. We had a backyard category, which is just people messing around, drinking beer, cooking their food, and then we had the professional category.
Yep.
And and like they said in the interview, just because somebody is a backyard cook, don't under no circumstances think that means that's bad, low quality barbecue. I mean, these are people that just have not been in the competition circuit, and they're just people cooking like they cook at home. And there was some really, really good barbecue, from the backyard division.
Yep. So you got to do a different role this time.
I did. I was what was called a table helper this time. And so whenever the teams would bring in their turn-in boxes, they would get checked in and issue their ticket number. Then a runner would bring that plate into the event housing where the judges were. And then my job was actually to take the turn-in box. I would go to the table, open it up, present it to everyone so they could look at it and they can get their judge for appearance. And then I would just go around to each individual person and, using tongs, take a piece of everything that was in the box. If there was just one cut of meat, somebody only turned in pulled pork, then that's all I could put on the plate. If somebody had the pulled pork, the tubes, medallions, different cuts, I put one piece of each on every judge's plate. And then I would take and go to the grazing table and put the rest of the box onto the table. And so I got to see a little bit of a different role than normally what we do is just simply judging. But that was something granted, don't get me wrong, I like to sit down and eat everything and taste it all, but that was just something different. I was able to see, and also I could see a different perspective, as in when the boxes came in, I held it in my hand the whole entire time, and as many times as I opened it and showed it and moved it around, I got to see a whole lot more, detail in the box than I do when I'm sitting down as a judge and only get 10, 15 seconds. I mean, and even 15 seconds is a long time,
right,
to stare at a box and, make my determination. And it was a little bit different. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it was just a little bit different.
Yep. I enjoyed it. I was just judging, so I got to sit and eat.
And a good thing, though, when I moved everything around and passed all my samples to the judges and we put all the boxes onto the table, while all the judges were tasting their food and going through their calculations, we got to look at every single box. So I got to see every box from every single table, and I could look and say, oh, that looks pretty good, and I could pick a piece from that box or from this box. So I had a much broader choice of tasting samples. Granted, I had nothing to do with judging today. I had no scoring whatsoever, but I could taste everything. And I like that because I could taste stuff that, like if Lee and I are on a separate table, we'll tell each other what we saw at our table and tell each other what it tasted like and what it looked like. But from the position I ran today, I could see every single box and say, man, I want to try that. And I could actually go to that box and taste it. And I had full reign over what I wanted to eat instead of what was in front of me that I had to eat.
Right.
And I really like that.
Yep. Well, we met some pretty cool people, some more judges.
Oh, yeah.
Some pretty cool people. A couple cook teams that were out we talked to. But all in all, another great event.
Yeah, can't wait till next weekend. We got Camden.
Yep, so we go to Camden next weekend. So I encourage you guys to get out there, get involved in your local barbecue and organization, and just try it. Have fun. So let's get out of here.
All right, man. Good to see you.
It's good seeing you.
Great time this weekend.
Hope everybody had a great week. We'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Rock on.